Hey, okay, so here we are in Chick-fil-A, surprising Sienna. Hi, Sienna! Hi. Say hi to everybody at JC Youth Online. Hello. Here's Lexi.
It's like number
Lexi, say hi to JC Youth Online.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
It's like the number one, but with
We
lettuce
love
and
you.
tomato.
Okay. Haha, we win. All right.
And it
It's
comes
beautiful.
with zero.
The line is so long. Is it like this all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that everything?
Bye. Hey peeps, what's up? It's time for JC Youth Online, our online youth groups at Journeys Crossing. Are you guys ready for tomorrow? It's the beginning of opening up in Montgomery County, and I know other counties have been open for a while now, but what are you gonna do on day one? Like tomorrow's day one. It's just so exciting. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna be up to? Can I give you some advice? All right, here it is.
So, I was just chilling at home today, and then I was like, oh my goodness, I remembered one of my favorite Bible verses. So I went to go get my Bible, and then I saw a mirror and said hi to myself. And this is Ephesians 5:17 in the Contemporary English Version, one you can share with your friends, and it goes like this.
Don't be stupid.
Yeah, we give good advice here. All right, my little Hogsbockers, it's Scott. I am the youth pastor at Journeys Crossing, if we've never met. And if we've never met and it's your first time here to JC Youth Online, I want to say welcome. So glad that you're here. Honored that you would spend some time with us this morning. I want to invite you, come hang out with us in the group chat over here on the YouTube page you're watching, right over there. So head over there, go, get over there. Okay, because you want to be in this chat, because we're going to give you a chance, if you're watching this right now at 11:15 on Sunday morning, May 31st, to win a $5 Chick-fil-A gift card, and all you have to do is answer a question, okay? $5 Chick-fil-A gift card, answer a question if you're in the live chat right now. So here's the first question, ready? What's the name of the song that Biebs and Quavo are topping the charts with right now in our country? So, what's the name of the song? Biebs and Quavo, it's number one in the country. First person to put it in the group chat, gift card to Chick-fil-A, go.
Shower you with all my
Got it?
attention. Yeah, these are my only
Intentions, good job, it's intentions, well done, very nice. All right, second question, another $5 Chick-fil-A gift card on the line. What's the number one show on Netflix right now, show or movie, that Gen Z and millennial people are watching? Put it in the chat, go. The Office. The Office. Nice. Okay, good job. Well done. Thanks for playing. We'll reach out to the two winners today sometime to get you your Chick-fil-A gift cards. We're in week 3 of our series called Doubt It. And Doubt It is all about the questions that we have about God and where we go to get answers. And I know here we typically read from the Bible because the Bible's great and we want you to get to know it because so many people don't know it.
What are the first 3 words of the Bible? Hey y'all, welcome.
But I've got another book I wanted us to read from today. You know this book? They made a movie about it. It's called Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day.
Up my dad at his office. He said I couldn't play with his copying machine, but I forgot. He also said to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was careful as could be except for my elbow. He also said don't fool around with his phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said please don't pick him up anymore. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There were lima beans for dinner, and I hate limas. There was kissing on TV, and I hate kissing.
Really famous book. Still kind of creepy. So does it feel like to anybody else that we've had like 3 months in a row of days just like this day, like Alexander's Day? Like it feels like to me it's March 153rd. You know, like that's today's date. Because we've just had day after day after day of disappointment starting in March. And look, we can all agree life gets difficult and frustrating sometimes. If you're a senior in Montgomery County or Frederick County or Prince George's County or really anywhere in this area, I don't have to tell you this. Because you know life gets disappointing. So let's try something. Let's try something together. Wherever you are, I'd like you to stand up. If you're on a laptop or a tablet or a phone, set it across the room from you. Okay? Now your goal is to get over to your screen by taking a step every time I tell you something, okay? So you'll see what I mean. Please don't sit down until I tell you to. All right? So take a step forward if you have never experienced disappointment. All right, take a step forward if you've never experienced things going badly. All right, take a step forward if you've never been rejected by someone. Okay, take a step forward if you've never lost anything valuable or precious to you. Take a step forward if you've never lost out to anybody else on something. Take a step forward if you've not experienced sadness over this quarantine. Okay, take a step forward if you've always had all of your prayers answered exactly the way you wanted. Did you move at all? Probably not. And it's because the human condition, the human experience includes disappointment, rejection, and prayers that sometimes seem like they go unanswered. One more. Take a step forward if you've ever felt like following Jesus entitles you to a good life. Took your first step, didn't you? Yeah. Now, okay, one of my favorite passages in the Bible, and I use it a lot in Scripture, is Romans 8:28. And it's because the reason I use it so much is because everybody needs to know what this Scripture says. It says this, Romans 8:28, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. This verse tells us that in everything God works for our good, even in the bad stuff, even in the really hard stuff. Not to say that the bad stuff that happens to us isn't bad, like things that are bad. But God is an expert in squeezing some good out of bad situations. The problem comes when we take that verse and we start thinking, if I follow Jesus, it means everything in my life is going to be perfect, because we know just from our experience in life that that's not true. Jesus experienced life and He experienced that's not true. Because even when we follow Jesus, we don't get everything we want. We still get hurt. When we follow Jesus, bad things still happen to us, and people that we love sometimes leave. And that is all true even with a good relationship with Jesus. So as we've done this whole series, let's ask a few questions and explore some answers. So take the next few minutes and think about how you'd answer the following 3 questions. Grab a pen, piece of paper to write with, and a song's gonna play. You'll write down your answers to the questions. You get the joke, right? All right, so when the music's over, we'll come back together. Cool? All right, here are your questions. Question number 1 is this. Think about a time you really hoped something would happen, but it didn't. What was that thing? And did you try to include God on it? 2, have you ever asked God to do something, but God didn't do what you asked? How did that feel? And what did it make you think about God? 3, do you believe God still answers prayer today? And if so, how do you think prayer works? And if not, what would it take for you to believe that God answers prayers?
When you make big plays, you get rings. Or I just can't wait. Living these raps, yeah. Giving them facts, yeah. What would I care? Hey, yeah. Living them facts, yeah. What would I check, yeah. Just call my name, I'll be right there. Sleeping on the wave, fantasy nightmare. Voices in my head telling me fight fair. Jackie Chan with the Bruce Lee. Shining in your city, I'm a street light, yeah. We the ones that they wanna be like, yeah. Voices in my head telling me fight fair. Jackie Chan with the Bruce Lee. Stack it up, give it a rest. Take a little trip and come back. I've been up fighting these demons, feel like we been in Iraq. Cause I remember the season, you was all under attack. If you just look at the reason, maybe you'll learn to relax.
Let me talk.
I wanna rock the night, living a life of life. Had to make sacrifice, you know. And I'm in your city lights, thinking it must be nice. Had to go reunite, just call my name, I'll be right there. Sleeping on the wave, fantasy nightmare. Voices in my head telling me fight fair. Jackie Chan with the Bruce Lee.
Turn it up, let me get crack. Take it up more to the max. I took a break, now I withdraw. Spaz on the track and relapse. I feel like I could do anything. I'ma go hard till I'm flat, yeah. Never would've made it. I've been through the hell and back, yeah. Devil in a new dress, I'm in a bulletproof vest. I can't fear nothing, look, God with me, I'm ruthless. Don't need stamps, I'm established. You just threw the lob, when it's dropped, it's a classic. Just call my name, I'll be right there. Sleeping on the wave, undersea nightmare. My DeLorean, high speed light, yeah. Back to the future like, top of the morning to your dish, that after school and tutor. You ain't attended Ferris Bueller, 30 degrees, I freeze a cooler. Half of these rappers lying, do the Superman. I got lanes to save, just for my brothers I paid away. I made a play and I changed the game. Holy.
All right, so we're going to take a look at a guy whose life story is pretty much an extended version of Alexander's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. The guy's name is Job. It's spelled Job, pronounced Job, okay? And here's what we know about this guy named Job. And this is all found in the book of Job, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. Here's what it says. In the land of Uz, how'd you like to live in a place called Uz? There lived a man whose name was Job. This man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He owned 7,000 sheep. That's a lot of sheep. He owned 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 donkeys. And he had a large number of servants. He was the greatest man among all the people of the East. His sons used to hold feasts in their homes on their birthdays, and they would invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And when a period of feasting had run its course, Job would make arrangements for them to be purified. What a good dad. Early in the morning, he would sacrifice a burnt offering for each of them, thinking, perhaps my children have sinned, and cursed God in their hearts. This was Job's regular custom. This guy was cool. Like imagine the richest guy you know, the best dad you know. Imagine that guy, and he puts God first in his life. And maybe the best dad that you know and the richest person that you know, maybe they both do put God first in their life. They're both very cool because they're like Job. And now we're going to tell the rest of the story of the life of Job, but we're going to summarize. Okay, so in the rest of the first chapter of Job, it kind of tells the story from God's perspective, and this weird situation happens. So God is sitting where he's sitting, right? He's in his place, and angels show up, and they come into the room, and Satan comes with them. And God says to Satan, where have you been? And Satan's like, I've been all over the earth, checking it out, doing my thing. And then God says something to Satan that ends up costing Job big. He says, have you considered my servant Job? There is nobody else on earth like him. He is dope. I'm pretty sure the Hebrew doesn't say dope, but he's dope. And Satan says back to God, well, yeah, of course he's dope. You give him everything. He's rich, he's got great kids, he's got a fantastic life. If you took his fantastic life away, he'd curse you to your face. Now, God at this point has to make a decision, and he does. And he says, okay, I'll take that bet. And so Satan gets the power to hurt Job in all the places where it really matters. Like he wipes out all of those donkey and sheep and servants, wipes them all out. And then the worst thing happens. So Job's sons and daughters are partying again, having fun together, doing life together as siblings. And somehow, we don't know if it was Satan who did it, or even more troubling, what if it's God who did it? A storm comes and wipes out the house that they're in and kills all of them. It's the worst story. It's so terrible. And everything that's important to him gets wiped out. And so Job is sitting there thinking, what just happened? And then in Job 3, after everything he experiences, Job cries out to God. I mean, you would too, right? He's like, God, why? Why is this happening? I have done my best to follow you. I cannot understand why you're allowing me to suffer like this. And then it gets worse. Job has three friends who start out really great. They come and they sit with Job for like 7 days, totally quiet. Wouldn't that be like, that would be good? Like they just sit there and like they're with him, like as he's crying, they just don't say anything, which is really smart. But then after 7 days, they decide they have to answer Job's question. They had an answer for Job, why all this was happening to him. Except their answers were really bad. Like they were offensive and hurtful. In fact, here's what they said to Job about why this was all happening. First, they said, this is your fault. Bad things don't happen to innocent people, so you must be guilty of something. The second thing, your kids probably deserved it too. At that point, I'm swinging. If I'm Job, I'm mad. I am angry. They also said, God has a plan. You just have to wait and see what it is, which is not comforting at all when you're grieving the loss of your entire family, all of your kids. And then they say, be thankful, because God is disciplining you for something. So be grateful that it's not worse. That is just awful. These guys are the worst. They are terrible. And maybe sometimes we've heard things like this, or maybe even worse, maybe we've said stuff like this to someone else. That's like showing up at somebody's house who just lost their dog with your dog and saying, I'm sorry you lost your dog. You want to pet mine? Like, that's the worst. You're terrible. If you've done that, please don't do that. Ever don't do that. Okay, so these friends of Job's, they go on lecturing him for a very long time. And when they're done, Job patiently listens to them. And then at the end, when they're done, he finally tells them, look, what you guys have said has been so hurtful and offensive, and you're just straight up wrong. You guys, like, I haven't sinned against God, and even if I had, nothing I've done would deserve the kind of suffering I'm going through. Job cries out, and it gets to the point where he's just like, God, would you just end it for me? Because it's just too much. And then finally, in the last couple chapters of Job, God responds. Like he shows up and he actually speaks to Job out of this great storm that he creates. So after all that, what do you think God's going to say? Let's find out.
His innocence.
And Job is innocent.
He is. He's also on an emotional roller coaster. At some moments, he's very confident that God is still wise and just.
Yeah, in other moments, he's doubting God's goodness.
He even comes to accuse God of being reckless, unfair, and corrupt. So by the end of the dialogue, Job demands that God come and explain himself in person, and God does so. He comes in the form of a great storm cloud.
Now, God doesn't give Job a direct answer. He doesn't tell Job about the conversation with the Satan.
Yeah, he does something very different. He takes Job on a virtual tour of the universe. He shows Job how grand the world is, and he asks him if he's even capable of running it or understanding it, just for a day. He shows Job how much detail there is in the world, things that we might see every day, but really don't understand at all. But God does. He knows it all intimately. He pays attention to the beauty and operations of the universe in ways that we haven't even imagined and in places that we will never see.
Then to conclude, God shows Job two wondrous beasts and brags about how great they are.
Yeah, they are dangerous. I mean, they would kill you without even thinking about it. And God says they're not evil. They're actually a part of his good world.
And then that's it. That's God's whole defense. It's kind of weird. I mean, what was this all about?
It seems to be this. From Job's point of view, it looks like God is not just. But God's perspective is infinitely bigger. He's dynamically interacting with a whole universe of complexity when he makes decisions. And this is what God calls his wisdom.
So Job asking God to defend himself is actually kind of absurd.
He couldn't comprehend this kind of complexity even if he wanted to.
So where does this leave us?
Well, it leaves Job in a place of humility. He never learned why he suffered, and yet he's able to live in peace and in the fear of the Lord.
Cool, right? But after all of that, God didn't really even answer Job's question fully. Like Job wanted to know from God why these terrible things were happening to him, because he was on God's side. And God answered, but not in the way that Job expected. Job was like, why, God? And God was like, dude, I'm the creator. Okay, I'm bigger than you. I'm smarter. I'm greater, more powerful. I'm kinder than you could ever imagine. Compared to me, you're kind of tiny. And that was not the answer that Job was looking for, but Job did get a sit down with the creator of the universe. And for Job, that was enough. And if that ending is less than satisfying, if that story's ending is less than satisfying to you, I get that. Because if I'm honest, I sometimes feel that same way. When hard things happen, I say to God, God, I'm your kid. I'm your guy. What's your deal? Like, why are you letting this happen to me? It is hard, no matter who you are, to trust God when you are experiencing something difficult, something that you can't explain or understand. And that's okay. Like, that's the point of us getting let in on Job's whole story. So, like we said a couple of weeks ago, you are not alone in your questions. Godly, amazing, cool people like Job had a lot of questions for God too. And like we said last week, God doesn't shame us for our questions, never does. He never condemned Job for asking why he was going through what he did. He just answered and said, chill on the questions. You're okay. Just trust me. And now in Job's story, we learn a third important thing. And here's what we learn. And this is a hard one. Our questions don't always get answered like we want. So let's take some time and talk about this one. And it might be kind of a rough time, like hard to think through, because it's a tough subject for us. So be honest and answer these questions. Okay, here's the first one, pen and pencil or pen and paper. Have you ever asked God a question and it didn't get answered? What did you ask? Okay, next question. Have you ever asked God for something that you never received? What was it? Third question. Have people ever tried to comfort you during something tragic? How did they do that, and was it actually comforting? And then the last one. Do you think God has ever spoken to you like he spoke to Job minus the storm cloud? Think back to that time. What was it like? Okay, take some time. Answer those questions now.
Just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you.
I'm hanging on by a thread, and all I'm clinging to is prayers. And every breath is like a battle. I feel like I ain't come prepared. And death's knocking on the front door. Pain's creeping through the back. Fears crawling through the windows, waiting for them to attack. They say don't get bitter, get better. I'm working on switching them letters. But tell God I'ma need a whole lot of hope keeping it together. I'm smiling in everyone's face. I'm crying whenever they leave the room. They don't know the battle I face. They don't understand what I'm going through. The world trying to play with my soul. I'm just trying to find where to go. I'm trying to remember the way. I'm trying to get back to my home. But I can't do this on my own. That's why I'm just trusting in you. Cause I don't know where else to go. And I don't know what else to do.
Just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. Just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you.
They say fear haunts you and pain hates. I say pain strengthens and fear drives faith. And I don't know all of the outcomes, don't know what happens tomorrow.
But when that ocean of doubt comes, don't let me drown in my sorrow, and don't let me stay at the bottom. I feel like this hole is too deep to climb. I've been looking for a way out, but I'll settle for a peace of mind. Picking up the pieces of my life and hoping that I put together something right. Tell me all I got is all I need. Tell me you gon' help me stay and fight. The world tryna play with my soul. I'm just tryna find where to go. I'm tryna remember the way. I'm tryna get back to my home, but I can't do this on my own. That's why I'm just trusting in you, cause I don't know where else to go, and I don't know what else to do.
No, don't let the fear make you feel like you can't fight this on your own. You know I'll be there for you no matter where you go. You'll never be alone. No, just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. Just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. Just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you.
Thought we could walk and talk. Okay, to close up today, at the end of Job's story, God restores to Job double everything that he had before, but that doesn't take away the pain and the suffering that Job experienced. So I want us to take a look at that passage that we mentioned earlier, the one that we said that people sometimes think means everything is just going to work out fine. It's the book of Romans, it's chapter 8, verse 28, and it says this: "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, those who have been called according to his purpose." Now this verse, like we said, it doesn't mean our lives are eventually just going to have some Disney ending. Like, we are going to experience pain. And the hard truth is, our questions might not get answered on this side of heaven. Like, why we went through it might just stay a mystery. And that's really hard when you're faced with that reality. But the cool, good news is that God can redeem all of our pain. And the word redeem is kind of a little bit of a weird word, like not a word that we use all the time. It means to reclaim or repurpose something, to restore it. Because like Job, we lose a lot in life. But redemption means that it doesn't have to end there. Like, we might not be able to avoid pain, we might not be able to fix it, we might not know why it happened while we're here on earth, but here's what we can trust: that God is going to redeem our stories so that we can know God better. He's going to use our pain to help others who are in pain and to make the world better. Ultimately, he's going to use all of it to help us be more like Jesus if we stay with him. So if you find yourself suffering, maybe you've got some really major doubts, maybe you've got some struggles at home, please don't take the advice of Job's friends and think, oh, it's something that I did, it's my fault, God's punishing me. Please know that knowing the God of the universe is better than the answer to any of your questions. Trying to know him, getting to know him. Please know that even when you don't have the answer to every question, knowing the one who has all the answers can be enough. And that's really good news. So as we close up JC Youth Online today, let's pray together and thank him for letting us know him and letting us in on the story of Job. Thanks, God. Thanks for faithful people like Job who went through it. Like, I can't imagine the stuff that he went through. But he did, and at the other side of it, or on the other side of it, he trusted you. I pray, Father, that we would learn to be like him. Thank you so much for who you are, that you're trustworthy, and that you love us and redeem us like you do. I pray it in your name, Father. Amen. Awesome. Okay, hey, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today at JC Youth Online. If you've got a friend who wants to check us out and was sleeping today at 11:15 and probably isn't going to roll out of bed until 2, we are doing a live replay of today's JC Youth Online at 5 p.m. on our Youth Ministry Insta page, Journeys Crossing YM. You can also have them check us out there. So we would love to see them there. Love to see you there. Be there tonight, 5 o'clock. You can pause this video right now. You can get all of our contact information. You can call, email, text. You know what's up. Our website, ilovethischurch.com/youth is always available. You can always check that out. Our Sunday morning youth e-news comes out every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. And social media, you can find us on Insta, Facebook, Twitter, updated regularly, so check all that out. You can stay connected daily by checking us out on Insta at noon for our daily prayer time. It's really short, and you'll find me there leading a prayer, so come pray along with me. We'd love that. For tonight, no debriefing groups. Sorry, my bad. So, no debriefing groups tonight, so we will see you this week. Next Sunday on June 7th, we're going to be honoring our seniors as a part of JC Youth Online. In fact, right now, we are in the line at Chick-fil-A to surprise some of our seniors. Really exciting. So, seniors, I still need a senior picture of you and a baby picture of you so that you can be a part of JC Youth Online on the 7th, okay? So, hopefully we will see you tonight on Insta at 5. Thanks for coming and hanging out at JC Youth Online today. We miss you guys. We love you. We will see you guys later. Hope you have an amazing week. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Set your burdens down. Set your burdens